Hello everyone, I'm going to be talking to you guys today about TOD, Transit-Oriented Development, and specifically how the City of Brampton has failed to support and optimize its existing transit infrastructure at the Mount Pleasant GO Station. So TOD, Transit-Oriented Development. TOD is an exceptionally high density of people per hectare of development area designed to maximize access to public transport. It often incorporates features to encourage transit ridership. As we all know, traffic congestion is already a major issue in the GTA and in the City of Brampton. This gridlock traffic issue is only expected to get worse. We must do something about this now. The built form, whether they are houses or commercial lands, are going to be there for a very long time. There are billions of taxpayer dollars that are being poured into a transit system. In the past, the City of Brampton has failed to support and optimize the existing transit system. The City of Brampton must recognize that transit supportive land use is essential to city planning and to supporting this valuable transit node. It means to build with the intention of creating the highest density possible in order to increase the ridership and revenues of existing transit nodes such as Mount Pleasant GO Station. By building compact high-rise residential condominiums instead of commercial land uses such as what we are seeing right now, within walking distance from this major transit node, this not only promotes transit ridership, but it would also decrease the level of public service that is required. So whether that be garbage removal, whether that be recycling, snow removal, or even road maintenance. Let's face it, even if you attempt to take GO Transit, you are still forced to own a car so that you can drive to and from the GO Station. And let's face it, car ownership is not cheap. Therefore, these types of land uses that we are seeing here, whether they are a community center, a library, a public school, these types of land uses should be placed elsewhere. The need for affordable housing and improved access to transit is what should be the mandate of the city. Citizens want their streets to be walkable and pedestrian friendly. We not only need more transportation options, but we also need more high-density residential homes within walking distances from these transit nodes. Please consider the following from the 2006 Ontario Growth Plan. Now looking over to these precious vacant lands within walking distance to the Mount Pleasant GO Station. We must understand that there are countless benefits to developing these lands into high-rise residential units. This would significantly lower the taxes for many future generations to come, thus increasing the accessibility for seniors and those living with disabilities. It would also decrease traffic gridlock, air pollution, and automobile dependency, while increasing the accessibility to more jobs. By maximizing ridership on existing transit systems, this would increase revenues as well as increase the amount of affordable housing stock. These lands are considered to be an intensification corridor with a provincial and municipal mandate of increasing density to support this major transit node. Local development surrounding this major transit node will dictate the amount of taxes required to support this GO Station. There is a legal obligation specified in the 2006 Brampton Official Plan to build high-density residential within the 500 meters of the GO Station to support this major transit node. As we can see from these types of land uses, local development has failed to support and optimize transit. The existing development surrounding this major transit node fails to increase the ridership and the revenues of the Mount Pleasant GO station. These adjacent land uses are not transit supportive. For example, a public school, which we see coming up, a library, a community center, parking lot, a public park, or a commercial plaza. All of these types of land uses are non-transit supportive, and therefore these types of land uses that we are seeing should have been placed elsewhere. If a commercial district plaza is to be built onto these vacant precious lands adjacent to the Mount Pleasant GO station, the residents of Ontario will be forced to pay higher taxes to support this GO station. Mount Pleasant GO station is a major transit hub which has a huge potential of mediating on the issues of affordability and mobility. High-density residential development should be built in close proximity to these types of major transit nodes. This type of development would reduce the level of automobile dependency while contributing to an improvement in mobility. Developers typically ignore these types of issues of affordability and mobility, while they rather focus in onto the revenues and profits. In order to reduce provincial taxes, we must support our existing transit infrastructure by building high-density residential development in close proximity to these types of major transit nodes. There are many challenges facing transit, and thus billions of tax dollars are required to mediate this to accommodate a growing population. Auto dependency leads to a vicious cycle, starting with more demand for roadways, low parking rates, and expectations for low-density housing development away from city cores. This leads to further automobile dependency and increased costs to providing transit service to these outlying areas. This vicious cycle will continue to repeat itself while endlessly increasing taxes for all citizens of Brampton and Ontario. The City of Brampton's economic and social health depends to a large extent on its transportation system. Transit-oriented development would provide connections to other metropolitan systems while also increasing the accessibility to more jobs, more specifically within the downtown core and along the transit line. The national and community objectives call for an improvement of air quality, an enhancement to the viability of our economic activity centers, and to provide services to those needing increased mobility, and also to promote more sustainable community development. Smart growth would reduce the amount of distance required for car trips, while allowing for a greater portion of these trips to be made by walking and cycling. And it would also allow for some households to reduce their car ownership. The forecasted population growth in West Brampton shows that it is vital for these planners, developers, and politicians to consider methods of solving the traffic and congestion crisis. Transit-oriented development and smart growth are fundamental to creating sustainable, growing communities. Why is this important? The City of Brampton is growing and developing at a very fast rate. It is important for us to consider long-term planning and what we want our city to look like, what we want our future to look like. Therefore, we must support T.O.D, transit-oriented development, in order to lower taxes significantly for many generations to come. We must put a stop to the district plaza adjacent from this valuable major transit node. And instead, we should insist on building high-rise residential buildings on these precious lands in order to support this transit hub. The decisions made by past Mayor Susan Fennell and the 2012-2013 City Council members regarding the Mount Pleasant GO station and surrounding land uses will ultimately increase the taxes of all Ontario citizens for the next 100 years, We need to have our voice heard. As city and regional councillors, it is your responsibility to speak out against this and to support transit-oriented development. Ultimately, the goal is to reduce taxes by increasing ridership. Increased taxes affect all of us, and they will be passed on to many future generations of taxpayers. As elected officials of the city, it is your responsibility to represent the best interests of the city of Brampton and its future growth. Together we can make a difference. Let your voice be heard. Aside from these transit-oriented goals is the bigger vision of creating economic prosperity. We must focus on maximizing the ridership of existing transit lines and services in order to generate maximum revenue to support the future growth of our city and our transit system. People need to believe in the transit system enough to get rid of their private automobile to then depend solely on the Metrolink service as a means of getting to where they live, work, or play. More ridership equals more growth. It is quite simple. More development means more jobs. In concluding, it is important to understand that we need not only more transportation options, but we also need more high-density residential homes within walking distances of these transit nodes. It is time to rethink the way that we move people. We have been so fixated on the short-term economics that we have spent generations overlooking the long-term goals associated with mass transit. Now that the issues of environmental pollution, lack of accessibility, and congestion have come knocking at our door, let's hope that this generation of planners, politicians, and land developers can come together to finally make the city work to create a brighter city of Brampton. For more information, please follow us on Twitter at Change for Brampton and also visit us online at bramptontaxblunder.ca.